Good morning, beloveds. One of the things that I like about Sunday mornings is they tend to be quiet. Like, we don't even bother to turn the TV on. The neighborhood's quiet. Even the birds are quiet today. But it may have to do with the storm that rolled through pretty much all of yesterday. It was kind of a foggy start to the day. And then when we went to the park, and by the time we left the park, because we were in the park for not an hour and a half, the sun had come out and the sky, you could see a lot of blue sky, and it was really pretty. And then around, I think, 1 o'clock, the rain started. And then at 2, the monsoon came in. And then it just kind of rained off and on for the rest of the day. And so today, it's quiet. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. I like that about Sundays. I like that Sunday mornings kind of start quiet. They give you time to move into the day. And let's see if I'm going to lose my voice. So, it's kind of peaceful. All right. It is June 6th. Our title is I Know My Own Divinity and Appreciate It. The purpose of life seems to be to acquaint a man with himself. He is not to live in the future as described to him, but to live in the real future by living in the real present. The highest revelation is that God is in every man. And that is from Emerson. All right, so let's see what Ernest and Raymond have to say. All mind operates at a center within me. All love seeks an outlet through me. God's action in me is my own real self, and to it I now devote my attention. I know myself as God knows me, and all disbelief is erased from my consciousness. Contemplating myself as a spiritual being, I realize the vast possibilities before me. I am unconditioned by the world, for I am mind in action. I now become the person I have always hoped to be. Finding the spirit within me, I change all my opinions of myself. No more self-limitation, no more self-condemnation. Today, I am God's creation, and as such, I move forward in life. Watching my momentary thinking, I realize the reason I have not accomplished my heart's desires. All stumbling blocks have been unconsciously created by myself. I am determined to cease my own self-imposed restrictions. God has placed no limitation upon me, and I accept my freedom to prosper. Acknowledging myself as God's beloved expression, I think straight and make right decisions. I now act from God mind indwelling in me. And my actions are worthy of truth. God speaks, acts, and loves by means of me. Around me is an inviting presence, and within me is all the mind of truth. Knowing myself as God knows me, I move forward to great accomplishments. I appreciate the God action indwelling me. I appreciate the life that animates me. I praise and give thanks for my own divinity. I see this same divinity in my fellow man. All men have goodness in their hearts and greatness in their souls. I am one with the good in all. I am one with the universe and its spiritual source. I am one with God and act as his representative. Today, all men shall call me blessed, and the world will be a better place because of my actions. I am divine and release goodness. So, what I heard was what I frequently say is to let go of society's idea of who you are, religion's idea of who you are, culture's idea of who you are, gender's idea of who you are. Release anybody else's idea of who you are. Because the only idea of you that matters is God's idea, which means the idea that God has of you. It's not even your idea of who you are, although that plays a role in it, because if you know who you are, then you are using God's idea of who you are. And for Pete's sakes, let go of who religion has told you God is, because that might get a little screwy into, what you think God's idea of you is. Because God's idea of you is perfect, whole, complete, loving, creative, joyful, happy, harmonious. That's God's idea of you. And all this other nonsense that all these other entities have said don't mean anything in the long run to who you are. So if you let them all go and go back to God's idea of who you are, and that can be one of the most healing things that you can do. And it will be healing on a physical level, on a mental level, on an emotional level, to let go of all of the things that you've been told about yourself, including what you have told yourself based on what they have said. And go back to God's idea of you. Now, like I said, you got to let go of all of the nonsense that you've been told about God. Because if you don't have a healthy relationship with Spirit, with God, then that can sound kind of scary. But that's one of the reasons why Science of Mind reminds you frequently that God is not an old man in the sky with a big accounting book. That's not who God is. God is a patterning intelligence, and God is love. And God is unconditional love. Because there is no conditioning to the love, because there's nothing outside of God. So God has nothing to judge. And that's super important. So that's what I'm hearing Ernest and Raymond and Emerson say today. So the title is I Know My Own Divinity and Appreciate It, because I'm going to go back to God's idea. It's one of the things that Jesse says, Reverend Jesse says, is the purpose of going to church or a spiritual center, whatever you want to call it, is to get a look at the picture on the box. It's like we are trying to put this puzzle together, and we have all of these pieces, and we go to these spiritual centers to get a look at of the picture of the box, and then it'll help us assemble the pieces better and faster, and we'll learn who we are. So I know my own divinity and appreciate it. Know who you are, that you're a beloved child of God, and start from there and see how your life changes. All right, so what Emerson says is the purpose of life seems to be to acquaint man with himself. We're here to get to know ourselves. He is not to live in the future as described to him. He is not to live in the future as described to him, but to live in the real future by living in the real present. Get to know yourself. Don't be who people have told you you are. Be who you are. Find out who your authentic self is underneath all of the stuff that you have been told. The highest revelation is that God is in every man. Well, all right, Emerson, I'm going to tell you the highest revelation is that God is in every living being. Emerson. Okay, so all mind, and he uses the capital M there, all mind operates at the center within me, within you. All love seeks an outlet through me. So all love seeks an outlet through us. We are built of, from, and with love. God's action in me is my own real self, and to it I now devote my attention. So I'm going to go back and look at God working through my life. And I'm not going to worry about what anybody else is thinking about my life. I know myself as God knows me, and all disbelief is erased from my consciousness. I know myself as God knows me. Know yourself as God knows you. And remember that God is love. So God loves you. That is how God knows you. God knows you through love. Contemplating myself as a spiritual being, I realize the vast possibilities before me. I am unconditioned by the world. I am willing to let all of the things that the world has told me about myself and God and other people go. I am unconditioned by the world, for I am mind, capital M, in action. I now become the person I have always hoped to be, even if I didn't know it. The more you act as your authentic self, the closer to the person that you want to be, even if you weren't aware that that's what you wanted. Because we all have that underlying if only person. Finding the spirit within me, I change all my opinions of myself. Finding the spirit within me. Once I know God, then all the opinions that I have held about myself that are wrong will fall away. So once you find your authentic self, once you find your God center, all of those opinions of yourself will fall away. No more self-limitation, no more self-condemnation. Today, I am God's creation, and as such, I move forward in life. So say that to yourself when you walk out your door, or even when you open your eyes in the morning. Today, we are God's creation. Every day, we're God's creation. State it to yourself. Watching my momentary thinking, I realize the reason that I have not accomplished my heart's desire. All stumbling blocks have been unconsciously created by myself. Okay, don't let that be a spiritual bypass, all right? Frequently, our own thinking does get in our way. Frequently, we think, oh, well, I can't do that, or oh, I'm not good enough for that, or oh, I'm not enough for that, or oh, I don't have the skills to do that. Well, we need to let all that go, okay? We need to let all that go. We do create a lot of our own stumbling blocks because we're not willing to put ourselves out there because we're afraid that we'll fail. Well, a master has failed more times than an apprentice has ever tried. And failure isn't truly failure if you learn something. So we got to get out there and we got to try. And I'm not going to Yoda you, but I am going to say don't let that be a spiritual bypass, because we are also in relationship and we get in each other's way. All right? But we can eliminate all of the stumbling blocks that we create with the thought that we are not worthy. And if we can eliminate those, then that will take a lot of the stumbling blocks that other people can create for us out of our way as well. Okay? So, I just want you to note that not all of the stumbling blocks that you are encountering are your fault, okay? They're not. We are in relationship, we are all one, and we do get in each other's way as well. So, but it does behoove us to get as many of our own stumbling blocks out of the way. And then, ideally, we can work on the stumbling blocks that we're creating for each other. All right? We do have a responsibility to not create stumbling blocks for each other. And the best way to do that is to know who we are and get rid of our own stumbling blocks. And then we'll stop creating them for each other. All right? I am determined to cease my own self-imposed restrictions. God has placed no limits upon me, and I accept my freedom to prosper. God has placed no limits on us. God has not. Yes, we have placed limits on ourselves. Yes, we have placed limits on each other. And the best way to deal with that is to know who we are and hold each other in that place. So when you meet somebody who doesn't know who they are, then you hold that space for them to know that they are a child of God. Acknowledging myself as God's beloved expression, I think straight and make right decisions. I now act from the God mind indwelling in me, and my actions are worthy of truth. All right? So there's your statement. We now act from the God mind indwelling within us, and our actions are worthy of truth. God speaks and acts and loves by means of me. God speaks and acts and loves by means of you. Around me is an inviting presence, and within me is all the mind of truths. Knowing myself as God knows me, I move ahead to greater accomplishments. Knowing yourself as God knows you, you move ahead to greater accomplishments. I appreciate the God action indwelling me. I love how he says that. Indwelling me. Not indwelling in me. Indwelling me. I appreciate the life that animates me. I praise and give thanks for my own divinity. Does this not sound like gratitude to you? I see this same divinity in my fellow person. Everywhere I look, I see the same divinity. I see the God within you. All people have goodness in their hearts and greatness in their souls. I am one with the good in all. If I see it, I connect with it. So if you want to connect with your fellow being, see the good in them. Now, if you meet somebody who does not know who they are, then you are welcome to see the good in them from a distance. You don't have to put yourself in their path if they are not safe, because they don't know who they are yet. So see the good in them, but be welcome to do it from a distance. I am one with the good in all. I am one with the universe and its spiritual source. I am one with God and act as God's representative. A couple of days ago, that's exactly what he said. It's like, when people see God, you know how people see God? They see God in you. You are literally God's representative on this earth. Every single one of us is God's representative on earth. Are we doing a good job of representing God? Today, all people shall call me blessed, and the world will be a better place because of my actions. The world will be a better place because of my actions. I don't have to go out and save the world, but I can make the world a better place by being authentically who I am, by being that child of God, by being that divine spark, by acknowledging the divinity within me. So I make the environment around me better, and I give permission to the people around me to be who they are. And then they take that permission, and then they go and give people around them permission to be who they are, and gradually it spreads. Did I have to do anything other than be authentically myself? Nope. I am divine and release goodness. Well, okay, so our mission today, should we choose to accept it? I'm going to give you this one. Today, our mission is to know that we are God's creation, and as such, move forward in life. We are God's creation. God thinks and acts and speaks through us. We are God's representative. So today, our mission is to know that we are God's creation. And see how that makes us feel, and see if it changes the way we act as we walk through this world. to know our own divinity, to know ourselves as God's creation, to know ourselves as God knows us, and to let everything else go, to let everything else go. All right, beloveds. As I always do, I encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. Whatever that looks like today. Whatever it looks like today. If you want to enjoy the quiet, please enjoy the quiet. And if you want to go out and get a little loud, that's okay too. Whatever it takes for you. Because the best person to practice that loving, kind, compassionate on is yourself. The more you practice it, the more you have, the more you have, the more you have to share. And that's fantastic. That is how we change the world. So please remember that you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. There is never a time that you are not. Because God does not judge. God loves. That's it. So whatever else you decide to do, please do something to engage your mind and your body. Please drink some water. Drink plenty of water. I don't know, the sun keeps coming and going, so if you can go get a face full of sun first thing in the morning, that's fantastic. But if not, get some bright light. It'll make your day better. Get some fresh air. While it's kind of cool, it's a great time to open the windows, get some fresh air. But, as always, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven now. It is all around you, just awaiting your recognition. Because the more you look for the good, the more you see the good, the more you see, the more there is, because it multiplies that way. All right, beloveds? Whatever you decide to do to make it a good day, please do that. All right? It is Sunday. That means that we will have an amazing service right here on Facebook Live for you at 11 a.m. Reverend David will be back on Facebook Live with you with the Daily Guides at 5 p.m. And then I will be back with you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. All right, beloveds? Do what you need to do to make it a fantastic day. And remember that these readings are archived on the Running Rev Ryan YouTube channel, so feel free to check them out. There's more than a year's worth of material up there. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in a little bit. Bye, beloveds.